And today I'm going to present a speech from the Successful Club series, as you can see on the screen. But right now you are wondering what is the Successful Club series and what is it about? And it is quite understandable because you are doing pathways from speeches from the new educational system, and that is why maybe you are not familiar with this presentation. And therefore I'm going to provide a little historical background to help our newcomers and guests to understand and refresh the knowledge for our old members. In order to do that, we need to reverse the time and remember the time where we had only one educational system, when there was no pathways. In our educational system, we had several tracks, two tracks, communication track and the leadership track. In communication track, when we present 10 speeches, we receive Competent Communicator Award. In leadership track, when we take the roles, organize the meetings, organize events, when we are mentoring someone, we receive Competent Leader Award. And the next step is you proceed to the advanced level, where you can receive the next award, which is called Advanced Leader Bronze. So right now I'm on this stage where I need to receive ALB, but in order to do that I need to do three things. First is I need to receive CC and CL, Competent Leader and Communicator. Check mark, I did that. Second thing, I need to be an officer for at least 6 months. I used to be a treasurer in this club in 2017. So another check mark. And the third thing is I need to present 2 speeches from the Successful Club series, and which I'm doing today. I'm presenting the first speech. So right now I'm going back to the question, what is the Successful Club series? It is the set of outline presentations which are prepared in advance by Toastmasters International. So in order to address the subject of equality of the meetings. So basically the idea is that this set consists of 10 or more presentations on several topics like mentoring, meeting roles and responsibilities, inspiring someone. And I need to choose one of those presentations and tell you, explain from my perspective this idea. And today I decided to talk about meeting roles and responsibilities. I think basically the idea is that I should tell what are the roles in our clubs, the roles of our speakers, of our members, and the roles of our leadership team, who are officers team. I thought that this is still the main thing in our club, and I should convey the convey the value of taking the role and being an officer. Let me start with explaining the roles. I know that this topic is a little bit maybe boring because you all heard about that we have a lot of roles like Toastmaster, General Evaluator. So that is why in order to make my explanation a little bit interesting and help you to present the whole picture, let's make an analogy and let's look at our meeting, each of our meeting, and associate each our meeting with the process of constructing a building. When you construct a building, you take brick by brick, you connect them with each other, and eventually at the end you will get one solid building, which is our one solid meeting. And each one of those bricks a little element, and those elements in our meeting is our roles, which you can see on the board. We have a lot of roles, starting from the Toastmaster, which is one of my favorite roles, and finishing with the grammarian roles. And why I am associating the meeting with those bricks? Because without these little elements, without those little bricks, there will be no meeting. There will be, the quality of this building will be weak. For example, last week you have been witnessing the situation where we had our meeting was cancelled because we had little holes in our building, right? But I will not say a lot about those roles because I decided to concentrate more on the second part, which is telling about the officers' roles. So let me skip this part. We have in our club why I decided to concentrate more time on explaining the role of officers, because very soon in a month we are going to have elections. So we're going to elect another 7 team of officers. So that is why I decided to tell about the officers from my perspective, from the perspective of a member who used to be an officer, like in 2017. And when I look at those 7 roles, look at those 7 roles, I associate them with the board of directors. To me, this team is like a board of directors in each company, which lead the meeting, where they are deciding everything about everything regarding our club. And speaking about the building, those 7 people, they are on the top of our building. They're like a roof of this building. So what is my story, how I decided to be an officer? I remember once in 2017, I listened to the speech of one of these members, who was Yerbek. He was the person who inspired me to step in and be an officer. He doesn't remember that, probably, but I was like a guest. I was sitting in the audience like you guys. I was listening to all of those enthusiastic speeches. And when Yerlan started to share his story about what is it like to be an officer, his motivation was so contagious. So I immediately decided to be an officer. And by the way, I decided to apply for the position of a treasurer. Yeah, I know it's not so important role, maybe not so interesting, but anyways, I decided to be among those leaders, or among this leadership team. And even the fact that I was a newcomer, I didn't know anything about club, I decided to join this team. And actually, yes, I knew nothing about all of those positions. For example, I didn't know who is secretary. What does secretary do? Well, I still don't know what secretary does in our club. But anyway, I know about other roles in our club. And after 6 months of being a treasurer, I want to share like several observations. First thing, when I tell people that I was an officer, can you imagine I was an officer? People always ask me, okay, so what does club give to you? Like the role of being, what does club give to you? Gives to you, yeah. And actually I hate this question because I think this is the wrong question, because I want to tell them it's not about what club gives to you, but it is about what you as a member can bring to the club. What is your contribution as a member when you are an officer? What can you bring to the club? So that is why I reply that when I was an officer, the value of me being an officer was like I cannot express. I mean,
invaluable. Invaluable.
Invaluable. Yes, right. I was among the leadership team. I worked with the most enthusiastic, the smartest people in our club, and when I worked with them, it was a mutual process. I learned something from them, and I gave something them in return. In another thing, when I was a treasurer, I decided to bring my own approach to this position. We know that treasurer is the person who takes the money from people, and that's it. And it is a very safe position because you don't have to come to the meeting. You can just text members and tell them, okay, give me money. But I decided to change this approach, and when there was a time to collect all the money, I started to call all 40 members. I wanted to talk to people and like introduce myself, and I started to call all of them. I introduced myself, and this is the most memorable thing of me being a treasurer is the people, that me talking to them. It was the most important thing for me, so I decided to change the approach to this role. And yes, I think that being a treasurer was one of the smartest decisions I have ever made in my life. Yeah, I mean, in the frame of our club, I mean. Not my whole life. Yes. Yes. What else I wanted to say? And actually, another observation, what I noticed that is, yes, thank you. When you looking at each thing from the perspective of what you can bring to the club, to your community, or what you can give to people, you actually receive a lot. For example, speaking about myself, even though I was a new member, right now I can tell that I learned a lot of things, and right now I am involved in several projects. For example, the first thing what I do is I am mentoring another Toastmasters club, which is going to be opened in another city, which is Aktobe. Yeah, very soon is going. Another Toastmasters club is going to be open, and I am mentoring. I'm mentoring in terms of helping. I'm helping them to understand the role of officers. So you see the impact of just even the small role, the treasurer, helped me now to increase my credibility and mentor another Toastmasters club in another city. This is the first project. Another project, I'm helping Asiya to organize Toastmasters officers training in Kazakhstan, the first ever Toastmasters training, where we are going to gather all the officers from 11 clubs. This is another level, I think, in my opinion, where I also, as my experience of being an officer, helped me to be involved in this very impactful project. Another thing, I'm a VP Social Ops. I was the member of PR team. I used to be the member of PR team and helped Zhanna with the meeting. So, and I think this list can be continued. And the main message, what I want to say is that I want to persuade you to be an officer, to take a chance and look at this idea not from my perspective, from the perspective what you as a member can bring to the club, what would be your contribution. And in conclusion, I want to say that we always say that we're a big family, that Toastmaster is a huge ATC family, and that is why I'm very happy to be one of those members, one of the bricks of this building, one of these building. And yes, this is basically all what I wanted to say. So back to Toastmaster.
Woo! Thank you.